This for Leonardo's Online Merchandising Group, and I'll be your host for today's webinar event. Though the title of our webinar mentions Twitter, Vine, and Facebook in particular, our discussion will revolve around social media in general as well, as many of these social marketing principles can be applied to all social channels. We're going to talk about how leveraging these platforms can provide your hotel guests with an open environment to learn about your property, its characteristics, place in the community, what your brand stands for, and what the experience will be like. So welcome to everyone around the globe, and to those for whom it's the middle of the night, a special thank you. A couple of housekeeping items before we begin. We're going to be recording today's webinar event, and at the conclusion of today's session, we'll be sending you a thank you for joining us email with a link to that recording, which you can share or listen to again at your leisure. Additionally, you'll have a questions dialog box in your GoToMeeting panel. I see many of you have already found it. And as we move through our discussion today, please feel free to send in your questions, and we'll address them throughout our webinar as well as at the end of the presentation. We're also going to be tweeting during today's discussion, so please feel free to join in the conversation at #LeoWebinar. So before we begin the formal part of our presentation today, I want to launch a poll. And the poll that I'm going to launch is to get the audience's take on this question. What is your biggest challenge with social media marketing? And you have 4 answers to choose from. And your answers to this question just helps us understand as we move through our event today what is foremost on your mind. So first answer is not sure how to determine which social sites to focus on, learning new ways to drive revenue from social channels, how to improve engagement with guests on social channels, and then repurposing existing content to social media platforms. So I'm going to let the audience weigh in here. So far, it looks like it's pretty neck and neck with learning to drive revenue and how to improve engagement. And I don't think that that's a big surprise because, you know, we're all trying to figure out how to do more with the channels that are available to us. So at this point, I'm going to close the poll, and the leader was learning to drive revenue from social channels. So thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you weighing in on that. I'd like to introduce our first special guest, Del Ross. Del is a hotel industry executive with more than 14 years' experience leading distribution strategy, digital and offline marketing, direct channel development, and overall top-line sales growth for the world's largest hotel companies. In 12 years at IHG, Del created the e-commerce department and built the direct web channel into a $3 billion enterprise, featuring an industry-leading online performance marketing program, globalized and localized booking capabilities in more than 100 countries, personalization capabilities, and big data marketing initiatives that currently contribute to more than 40% of all hotel revenues for the system in major markets. Prior to IHG, Del was founder and CEO of a dot-com startup, NextChange Corporation, a venture-backed company with over 50 national retail clients and an affiliate network that included the largest publishing websites with a combined audience of more than 55% of all U.S. Internet users. He's won more than 30 global and national awards in the past 5 years alone. Del has a Bachelor's of Arts from Georgetown University and an MBA from Wharton. So good to have you with us here today, Del. I'd also like to introduce our second special guest, Rachel Feit. Rachel is the Digital Marketing Manager at Dream Hotels, specializing in social strategy. Rachel oversees the development, implementation, and execution of digital content for the brand. Rachel came to Dream Hotels from DKC, a premier PR agency, where she helped grow the firm's digital practice, DKC Connect. At DKC, Rachel was responsible for launching online initiatives and platforms for lifestyle and hospitality clients, including New Balance and Paradisus Resorts. Prior to joining DKC, Rachel was a brand strategist at MWW, a leading marketing and PR firm, where she played an active role in narrative development for brands like Walgreens and Booking.com. Rachel is a graduate of Indiana University, where she received a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and certificates in Business and Management. So at this point, before the speakers begin, I just want to share a few factoids about social media, why it's a happening and critical platform to be integrated into your social marketing strategies, and a way to expand your hotel story so that you can really create an engaging place for your guests online. Let's start with Facebook. First, there are close to 1 billion, and that's with a B, daily active users on average. And interestingly, almost 3/4 of them are mobile daily users. More than half of Facebook users said their friends' photos inspired their holiday choice and travel plans. Photos are the most engaging type of content on Facebook today, with an 87% engagement rate. Moving on to Twitter, while a slightly newer platform than Facebook, it's really grown in the years since 2006, with 288 million monthly active users creating more than 500 million tweets a day. And it's also worth noting that the vast majority of these users are actually mobile only. Studies show that 44% of people are most likely to respond to and engage with brands that post photos more than any other type of media, and that can actually boost your retweets by 35%. And then on to Vine, which is the epitome of snackable content. And it's a fun tool to inspire creativity, which with its 6-second looping video. And we're seeing a lot of leading marketing companies do some really cool things with looping videos. And while their users are small in comparison to the other two giants, it's really interesting to note that their user base is between the ages of 14 and 25. Medallia, a Silicon Valley data research firm, just released a study, in fact this week, that found a direct relationship between responsiveness to social media reviews and hotel occupancy rates. The properties that increased their responsiveness by more than 50% earned double the occupancy rate growth of those that didn't improve their responsiveness. And we're going to be talking more about that today. But now I'm going to reintroduce Del Ross, who is going to take us through his presentation today. Del, over to you.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here today. So I'm going to be sharing with you some perspective and experience that I've had working with social media and being an early adopter of pretty much every platform for the last decade and a half, and some specific implications for both operators and owners and branders in the hotel field. The three basics for basic applications for social media for pretty much any business, and certainly for hospitality, are customer service, and particularly service recovery, customer insights, and customer activation and acquisition. So I'll talk about each one of those areas briefly. Now I want to note that if you are not active in social today, this also represents a very logical order in which you should tackle social, and I'll get into a little bit of why that's the case. So first, on service recovery, failures happen. The best of us, the best service organizations in the world, occasionally have problems, that things go awry, and people can get pretty upset about that. Obviously, we do, in our business, we do everything we can to resolve the issue at the moment with the customer live, and keep it quiet. But sometimes we don't know. And in today's world, the world where the selfie dominates, people don't necessarily tell other folks that they're unhappy. So you may not always be the first to know. In fact, if you're not paying attention, you could be one of the last to know. A couple of years ago, a video was posted about Comcast that they didn't even know about. And by the time they realized it, it had been viewed millions of times online. I'm not going to show the video now, but you probably have all seen it. This is the video of the Comcast technician who's on his own technical support line on hold, on speaker, and he falls asleep on the customer's couch. I believe he ended up sleeping for about an hour in there. And this was captured on video and posted with Comcast brand all over it. That basically was a wake-up cry for the industry, for every brand company, letting you know that your brand is out in the wild and you can't control it. Especially we used to think that video, broadcast media was something we controlled because the barrier to entry was so high, so costly. Well, with YouTube and Vine and other things like that, it's not costly at all. Anyone and everyone can and does produce video and publish it to an unlimited audience all the time. It's not just video. It's tweets. It's Facebook posts. It's behavior on those sites. It's sharing. It's favoriting. And all these things really matter. So your brand has a presence online. It's just a question of whether you participate in that presence in the social market or not. One thing about the Comcast experience is that there's a lot of learnings for all of us. Of course, you got to pay attention. But they also created what's now pretty much a standard in customer service and service recovery online. First thing that they do is when somebody posts a complaint and mentions their brand, they're on it. That customer is going to get a reply tweet from Comcast Cares, at Comcast Cares is the name of that identity. There are very senior customer service representatives who are assigned to this. And they tweet them right away. They say they're sorry. And then they ask this person for a follow in order that they can privately message them using Twitter's direct messaging capability to get more detail. Ostensibly, this is to protect the customer's private information. But even more importantly, it takes this issue offline. Right? You don't want people airing your dirty laundry or talking about where you failed in public, or you want to limit it as much as possible. It might be this is a relatively simple matter that you can wrap up quickly. It's also possible that it's horrible. It's a real disaster. And so you want to get that buried in. If the customer is out to get you, it may not work. But if they're really looking for resolution, almost certainly they're going to engage with you in this private dialogue. They'll provide you the information you need. And if you're smart, you will make sure that that happens, right? That they're taken care of. If anybody now, I mean, the implications for all of you on a consumer basis is that if you ever have a problem, or if you're not getting the response you want, tweet about it and tweet at the company that you're concerned about. Today, most companies they're incredibly responsive to this, and you end up getting to the top of the queue. You get right up front. I actually personally had experience doing this with Comcast and AT&T UVerse, and it's frankly the best way to get to the very best of their support personnel. And people are starting to learn this. But for you, you just need at least to be on top of it and have an opportunity to fix this and get it out of the public spotlight. Once it's done, it's not
one of Nancy in our audience was just commenting that that's very good advice. I'd like the audience to weigh in through the chat box if they would. How many of you have someone actively monitoring the Twitter voice for your hotel property? I think that'd be interesting to know. So thanks, Del. I think that's really good advice for folks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So anyway, I think we've talked about that, and participating. You have to be on top of that. Just as you would do it inside your hotel, and you train your team members to be on the lookout for those issues and to resolve them on the spot, just be aware that there's a public forum where you need to do this as well. So moving on, the next area I talk about an opportunity is in customer and consumer insights. So as I mentioned, your brand is out in the wild. And by the way, I want to mention that when I say brand, I'm not just talking about the flag that's on your hotel. Every individual hotel and every employee of every hotel has a brand. If we're not deliberately curating what we want that brand to mean, it almost certainly doesn't mean in the wild what you want it to mean. You have an opportunity to nudge your brand and create the impression that you want, but it will only happen the way you want it if you actively manage that. So that's just a note. So when I refer to brand, I'm not just talking about the flag. But if we could advance the slide to the next one. Um, with respect to customer insights, a lot of times what you're going to hear today is people saying you need to just go out and start looking for followers, seek followers, get followers and likers. That is not the right strategy necessarily, because until you have a plan and until you have a voice, you won't be able to you won't necessarily have credibility, and you won't even know the context in which you're posting. This is really a pretty big deal. So find out what they're saying about you and what they like and don't like. Obviously, I mentioned the service recovery, but beyond service recovery, you can glean incredible data about what people think you are, what your brand means, what your product is about, what they like or don't like about you, and, of course, what they like or don't like about your competition. This is a really important thing that I need to emphasize, that your brand is not yours. The price of a really successful branding effort is that it ceases to be your own brand. Apple is one of the most powerful brands and most valuable brands in the world, and yet sometimes they lose sight of the fact that their customers who love them are now the owners of the brand. There's a site called cultofmac.com. Cult of Mac, right? Their whole existence is about loving Apple, and they ding Apple for launching a shoddy product, right? This is a big deal when this happens. Apple is learning about this, but every single thing you do, every single initiative, every product change, every promotion, every comment that your people make, you need to assume it's going public within seconds, and people will respond to it. They'll respond to it favorably, like, hey, isn't it great that? Or they'll respond to it negatively. But it will happen. You need to be on top of that. And even if it's not you, if it's somebody else saying something about you, you need to know what's happening. This can inform your strategy for how you communicate, how you design your services, how you design your products. It's an incredibly valuable tool. And even if you never post anything, even if you never try to run a campaign on Facebook, Vine, Twitter, etc., you can get huge value from doing this. So if you could move on to the next slide.
Sure.
The next page. So again, monitor and look for issues. I did want to share a quick personal story, just how well this can go. Now, this is a combination of service and service recovery as well as brand equity. I had a really incredible experience recently with Lufthansa. My daughter was flying back from Europe. She spent 10 days on a school trip learning about the Holocaust, and it was phenomenal. And part of that was keeping notes in a private journal that they had given her assignments. And it was a way for her to record parts of this profound experience. She left that journal on a plane, right, coming back from Poland to Germany. She left it on the plane, and she was very distressed. I tweeted Lufthansa. Lufthansa found the journal. They let me know right away they had it, and they were going to let us know how to get us back. This happened within an hour. Now, she had already gotten on the flight to the U.S., but they did this. It was awesome. And I did this publicly, and they responded publicly, and that is a sign of them demonstrating how good they are, how much they care. I think that does a lot for their brand. And again, it's a power for doing it. But it also shows how on top of that they were. So a really good case. You want to be on top, and you want to serve well, and then you want to pay attention. If I was their competition, I would also be watching this to see what they're doing and copy the things that customers like and avoid the things that they don't. We're in an age where there's no reason to make anything but new mistakes, and those mistakes that are made don't have to be your mistakes. They could be your competitors. So you want to watch out for that, and this is the opportunity, an opportunity of using social for that purpose. All right, so finally, yes.
Marco from the audience, and I love this example. And one of the sort of the byproducts of this is you're telling the story over and over again, right? Because it's such a great example of service. But Marco has a question, and he wants to know, what's your advice on monitoring the competition? Because it's hard enough to keep on top of your own stuff. Any advice for doing that?
Well, I mean, it's really straightforward. Monitoring is simple on the internet. I mean, if you want to you can monitor hashtags. You can follow hashtags on Twitter. You can set up Google searches for anything you want, that Google alerts to follow, and that can include social media posts. And you can hire firms to do this for you. That's what we ended up doing at IHG with a portfolio of 9 brands in the loyalty program in multiple countries. We hired a firm that actually monitored for us, and they looked for good things, bad things, and massive amounts of data that then could be mined through our analytics team for actionable insights. But it depends on your scale. But if all you do is you have somebody who's got an account and they're following, they're lurking, right? That is perfectly acceptable for the near term. It's better than nothing.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we are on to the next slide. Acquisition and activation. So we think of marketing, we think of how do we get more customers, how do we get our customers to do more with us, spend more money with us, or in the hotel industry, stay with us again. It can be used for this, right? But social media is not just it. When it first came out, you know, likes and favorites and all these things were and follows were out there. People basically thought, oh, this is just like another form of permission marketing. I'll get a bunch of followers, like subscribers, and I'll blast messages at them and wait for them to respond. This doesn't work at all. This is a terrible idea. In fact, it's a nice way to antagonize your customers or get them to tune you out. So we need to understand that right away. It is not like email marketing. It's not like direct mail or direct response. It is a very unique channel. One of the things that we've learned is that you can use this to drive business, but you have to go about it differently. The first thing you have to do is earn the right to be heard. And you do this by getting them to truly think good things about you. Clicking a like button on Facebook does not actually mean they like you. It doesn't mean they'll continue to like you. It doesn't actually, it's not a very strong indicator of emotional preference at all. Clicking follow by the same token doesn't necessarily mean they're truly paying attention to every word on Twitter or any other social media outlet. But if you really want to get them to like you, think about what makes you like people. When somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I really like your new shoes, or boy, I was in that meeting with you and you said a super smart thing, or they say, you know, Dell once told me that blank. That makes you feel good. You actually like the people who think you're smart and clever and good looking. Well, the same thing's true on social. If you favorite, like, or share the posts of others that you're trying to get to like you, they're going to like you. They're going to think good things about you. They're going to think you're smart, clever, and attractive because you think they're smart, clever, and attractive. This is a big deal. So if you want to build affinity and propensity to listen to you, go out and find the people you want through a concerted effort of looking for, agencies can help you find lookalikes or influencers out there and like them. Build that audience by being their fans. Very often they will reciprocate by following you, and then you don't go out and spam them with an offer. What you do is if you're going to say anything, you say something that has intrinsic value to the audience. In other words, here's a tip for travelers. Don't forget when you go to a hotel, ask for this, or something like that, something that adds value to them. And people respond. They will like you, and if down the road through that media or others you actually post an offer, it's more appropriate because you've earned the right to be heard. So this is my advice on what we learned after a lot of work in social media marketing.
And Dell, this ties to Allie's question, and a couple other people have weighed in on this about generating revenue through social media. And I think what you're pointing out is that this is a process, right, and a strategy. And so first, you have to get people to like you. You know, you don't want to sort of cold call them, if you will, with a sale. You want to build on those relationships, and then when they've warmed up to you, then there's an opportunity to present them with something that they can buy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the key there is relationship. The fact that someone clicks a button that says like or follow does not mean that you have a relationship, not by a long shot. That might be an attribute of a relationship, but it's on its own. You think about how simple that is and how quickly you forget that you've done it as a consumer. It has almost no value on its own. But if it's within the context of dialogue, of shared experience, of mutual admiration, then it actually can mean something. So that's the takeaway, is that you actually you can use these platforms to build real emotional connections with an audience, but it doesn't happen because of a mechanical function of clicking on a button. So that's a huge point.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Del. Judging by all the questions from the audience, they were super interested, and here is your last slide, I believe.
Okay, so that's really it. It's the same thing that I talked about, and again, the implication of this approach to building affinity, building a relationship, building propensity is this: don't go out and shill. Don't go out and try and solicit business like you would if you were pushing an ad out there or putting out an email marketing campaign. You want to go out there and engage your audience in public. But when you sell to them, make it private and make it, you'll be invited to do that. So that's an implication for all of us, whether you're an individual hotel, a salesperson at a hotel trying to get new accounts to come in, or you're running a brand. It's the same thing.
Excellent advice. So one more question for you from Alex, and I think this is right up your alley. So Alex is asking, do you think the social media environment can be a substitute for the website? Because now with many social sites, I know Instagram just made a big deal of it, where you can actually buy hotel rooms through social or from Facebook, etc. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not really sure that I have a strong opinion about where the transactions will take place, and I think that mobile changes everything anyway. The astonishing migration in the last 3 years to mobile for every purpose we're still absorbing that. It also means that one of the things about mobile is that it's slightly less convenient to go from site to site to site. So an integrated experience seems to be in store for all of us, where the research, the engagement, the service, and the booking, and even the stay servicing will all happen within the same type of contiguous experience. That might mean that it all merges towards a social environment. It might mean that it all gets embedded in a deeper, richer web experience. I'm not really sure how that's going to work out. I don't think that today people think of a Facebook page as a transaction hub. I think they see it as an information source. In fact, I think for most brands and properties in the hotel business, their Facebook page doesn't have a lot of value, doesn't have a lot of engagement unless they're actively, out there in sharing content and engaging their customers and adding value. I don't think that as a standalone thing it's necessarily a good way to place your bet on commerce. But in the long run, one thing I've learned about all my time I've spent in the digital world is if I was to truly predict the future, beyond 6 months, the only guarantee I could make is that I'll be wrong. Things change too fast.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Thank you so much, Del. Lots of great information for our audience, and I know that they are really appreciating it, again, judging by all the questions. So just to wrap up, what Del was saying is, things go wrong, but acting quickly and being helpful is going to go a long way. Recognize who the big voices are out there and make a note so that you can take action appropriately, subsequent to understanding that. And earned relationships will last, so being helpful and informative, but also entertaining goes a long way, because after all, it is a social channel. And lastly, consumers choose where and when they're going to shop for hotels. Consumers decide what device is most convenient to use at the moment, and consumers actively solicit input from friends, family, and even strangers over brands. So no doubt that they're in the driver's seat these days. So again, thanks, Dell. And now I'm going to introduce Rachel Feit. Rachel is the Digital Marketing Manager at Dream Hotels. And Rachel, I'm just going to pass you the keyboard and mouse. And so there you go. You should have it.
Great. Thank you, Darlene, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. As Darlene mentioned, my name is Rachel Feit, and I am the Digital Marketing Manager for Dream Hotels. So for those of you who don't know, the Dream Hotels brand is rapidly evolving, physically and culturally. But for the purpose of today's discussion, I'm here to talk about the brand's digital growth. As we continue to develop our footprint online, a strong emphasis is placed on three major areas. Those areas include reputation, relationships, and return on investment. While close attention should be placed on these individual focus areas, ultimately we believe that success is created through the integration of all three. For the Dream Hotels brand, social media has enabled us to build the brand's digital reputation and has truly changed the way that we market to our guests. Naturally, since we're in the hotel business, the surest way to develop a positive reputation online is to create an extension of the brand's unparalleled guest service. We also can grow our reputation in other industries and other segments, not just hospitality, by promoting Dream Hotels as a relevant leader in the lifestyle space. So how do we go about this? We found that our social media fans thrive off of what we're doing as a brand. Two examples you'll see on the side. You know, the first Instagram post on the top, here we are talking about a new brunch spot that opened, right? Brunch, nothing really to do with hotels. But yet again, you know, this post itself received almost 300 likes. So the strategies that we really employ, you know, in order to sustain and continue growing a reputation online is capturing and curating content. You know, this is at the forefront of everything that we do as a brand. Recently, we actually flew a drone over our Sundance Film Festival après-ski event with Nylon Magazine, just so fans could see that we are a brand on the cutting edge of technology. It also was a nice way to give them access into the event as if they were there.
And is that, Rachel, a question from our audience, when you said you're promoting Dream Hotels in other industries, is that what you mean? You're partnering with folks like Heineken and people who share the same lifestyle affinities?
Absolutely. So yeah, so whether it's, you know, promoting a new restaurant that may have opened nearby in the meatpacking district in New York City, or partnering with a lifestyle publication like Nylon. You know, I just got back from the South by Southwest Festival. We actually partnered with a DJ Management, the largest DJ management company in the world out there. So yeah, we are, you know, we're a lifestyle hotel, and therefore we partner with like-minded, you know, lifestyle brands in order, you know, naturally to grow our reputation.
Great, thanks.
Absolutely. So as Darlene mentioned, you know, another way that we go about really, you know, further establishing and growing our reputation online is through cross-promotion. And this is something that we truly believe is key for expanding our digital footprint. You know, partnering with brands allows us to reach new audience, and most importantly, it allows us to introduce our followers and our fans to brands with similar synergies. For Valentine's Day, we partnered with Alex and Annie, their jewelry company, Bliss Spa, Uber, on a Valentine's sweepstakes where fans could win a weekend for two in New York City. We're utilizing all of our social media channels to promote these partnerships, really get the word out about events, and ultimately interject the Dream Hotels brand into relevant cultural happenings.
Hey, Rachel, I just have to do this call out. Abdulia has joined us from their hotel in the Maldives. And they were saying that they also used a drone to take pictures and videos. And,
awesome.
Yeah, by doing that, they got some great positive feedback. So thank you for joining us. I think you win the prize for coming the longest way to join us.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Good for you guys. The next the big area of focus for us is relationships, right? It's no secret that our goal is to get heads in beds. We are a hotel after all. But social media allows us to interact with people and create a more personalized experience before they even enter the hotel. Social media has allowed us to build strong relationships with people around the world, which then helps create brand loyalty. And this, for us at Dream, this is really the bread and butter of our business. Again, you'll see two examples on the right-hand side of the screen. The top example, a fan on Twitter was, she's planning her trip in New York City. This was unrelated to hotels, and she was merely looking for some restaurant recommendations. So we hopped on immediately, interjected, asking her about what her favorite type of cuisine was. Again, not related to the hotel. It's dialogue. It's an authentic, a genuine conversation. Down the line, our goal is that if we build these strong enough relationships, then we can convert these people who may already have a hotel room booked somewhere else into Dream fans and advocates for our brand.
That's a great piece of advice, because I know a lot of people through the chat today have been asking, so, how do I drive revenue? How do I create more value? And I think this is a great example.
Yeah, and similarly, the example that I've included on the bottom is more hotel-centric, but again, it's a fan that's talking to us, about just a cheap place to stay, right? Not that we're necessarily cheap, but it was a very general, a vague comment on Twitter. And then we're going to go there with her. We're going to ask her, where are you looking to stay? Can we provide you with any recommendations? We're never overtly promotional. We're really here in support of the general Twitter community. So again, our objective here for building these relationships is to engage with fans and create a personalized experience way before they even enter our hotel lobby.
And Rachel, Lisa has a question here. She said, in the example you used where the person was looking for the restaurant, how did Dream find that person, since the tweet doesn't look like it mentioned them?
Yeah, so we don't just focus on Dream-centric search terms on Twitter. We have about 24 keywords deployed 24 hours a day. Keywords like New York City, believe it or not, we actually do monitor for keywords like restaurants, because we do have a bunch of different restaurants and venues on site. So restaurants is a keyword that we're looking to stay on top of. But believe it or not, the biggest keyword that we focus on is the NYC search term, believe it or not.
Ah, excellent. Yeah.
Words like itinerary are used. Yeah, we employ many non-brand keywords, and that's helped us tremendously.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
And the ways that we're going about developing these relationships, to your point again, is through social listening. And I know this is something that Del mentioned earlier, but it really is critical for brands to monitor, social media for what's being said about their brand, what's being said about the competition, but more importantly, what's being said about the industry as a whole. For us, when someone is searching for a hotel in New York City or talking about their upcoming stay at Dream Hotels, we've already targeted them. Another way that we are developing, I would say, the strongest relationships with our social media fans is by providing value. And here we're really able to emphasize the importance of relationships. Through social media, we give our fans and followers access into the hottest Dream Hotel happenings, both on and off property. And this creates a sense of intimacy and community. For example, to celebrate Dream Midtown's recent renovation, we offered our social media fans exclusive discounts. I'm talking brand new suites, brand new rooms, and amenities. And it's quite amazing, the appreciation and the positive feedback that we receive from our fans about our around-the-clock service, and these types of discounts has truly been incredible.
And all of this happens at the actual property level, right? Not at the Dream Hotel level. Or do you do both?
Correct. Everything happens on the property level.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Instagram is our brand hub right now, so it's an aggregate of what all the properties are doing, but we believe that each property, as we continue to grow, will be popping up in Hollywood early 2016, followed by Dallas. We're undergoing a nationwide expansion. Each of those properties will have individual Facebook and Twitter profiles, so we can communicate in real time with our fans.
And Rachel, I know you are the digital marketing manager for the hotel collection. Do you have someone on your team who does the monitoring that's dedicated to it full time, or?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Absolutely. Yeah, at one time that was my job in my past life, but yes, there always, and I know this is something that came up earlier when Del was speaking, but yes, there should absolutely be a person dedicated, like I said, establishing and monitoring those keywords. You know, just start with Twitter, which then brings me to kind of this third area of focus. And from the question that, you know, Darlene asked at the beginning of the webinar, it seems like ROI is top of mind for lots of us out there.
Yes, I'm glad you're going to talk about it because the chat box is being flooded at the moment with questions about ROI.
Yeah, great. So here, you know, for all of us, the goal is to convert social media fans into hotel guests, right? While recognizing that we have limited time and characters to do so. So for Dream, as social media platforms evolve, we are able to track and monitor conversions more objectively. You know, specifically thanks to Leonardo's Book Now feature on our Facebook pages, you know, we can do much more direct selling. And this is interesting. I know that Del brought up earlier, you know, people still perceive Facebook as an information source and not a transaction source. But in reality, there's, you know, like I said, as these platforms evolve, there will be a ton of opportunity, and it's really nice if somebody is engaging with our content that right then and there on the platform, they can book a room. You know, one of the things that we've been exploring more and more are personalized rate codes. At Dream, we host a ton of online influencers. These influencers span, you know, the fashion, the food, the design, the music industries, and these people have huge, robust social communities. We had a fashion influencer from Switzerland stay with us recently, and she had over 3 million fans on Instagrams. So the question becomes then, how can we monetize these stays, and how can we track ROI? So we have employed personalized rate codes, and you'll see in the example to the right that was our a recent fashion blogger that stayed with us during New York Fashion Week in February. And so what we do is we equip these bloggers with their own personalized rate codes for them to share with their fans, their followers. And this way we can actually track whether or not our hotel is resonating with their fans by who's booking a room through this rate code. Again, it's a very nice discount. It's very exclusive. And we have, again, seen tremendous success through these rate codes. And I know a point that has come up, you know, many times throughout this webinar so much is the importance of monitoring and tracking on Twitter. You know, for us, like I mentioned, all day, every day, we are trying to proactively stay ahead of people's wants and needs online. By adding trackable links to our Facebook ads and our promoted tweets, and also making sure that these links are, you know, integrated with our website, you know, we are able to track conversion and ROI through these retargeted ads. So then I guess the question, you know, becomes what's next? For the Dream Hotels brand, social media will definitely remain at the core of our marketing strategy. However, with so many platforms entering the market every single day, we continuously must identify and integrate the platforms that make sense for our brand. To the right, you'll see that we have recently launched a Snapchat profile to share exclusive, real-time, behind-the-scenes content with our current and prospective fans. We had a big Los Angeles-based lifestyle and fashion blogger stay at the hotel recently. She took over our Snapchat for us for about 24 hours, and we increased our community size by over 140% in less than 24 hours. So, wow. Again, yeah, leveraging, you know, these big social media influencers on newer platforms, you know, the brands themselves will see more growth. Another thing, at Dream, we recognize and we know firsthand that a comfortable mattress is no longer enough. Instead, it's up to us to provide guests with an exceptional experience. And this is, you know, from a pre-welcome tweet to a TripAdvisor review response post-departure. We respond to every single TripAdvisor review that comes up for all of our properties, and this is something that we really pride ourselves in. It's helped improve our score tremendously. I think Dream Downtown is number 40 in all of New York City, which is quite incredible given how many hotels there are in the city. So really, I guess to answer the question, what's next, I usually like to say that as a brand, we will remain on the lookout for which emerging tools, trends, and technologies are going to help us create the strongest reputation online, which tools and technologies are going to help us grow deeper and stronger relationships with our fans, and ultimately, which tools are going to help us sell hotel rooms online.
Excellent. Thanks, Rachel. Again, huge response from our audience on everything you were talking about. So thanks. That was a great presentation. So just to wrap up what Rachel was saying, it's about the 3 R's, right? Use social to promote your brand and what it stands for. And you can launch the relationship before the guest enters your physical front door. Rachel also talked about how you can generate bookings on social channels. So it is doable, and, I think the subtext of what she was saying was, start small, get your heads around it, and then sort of grow it from there. Creating promotions with like brands really maximizes your reach, like she was doing in the examples that Rachel shared with us. And also, like Del said, everyone likes to be heard, so listen to your guests on social when they're shopping or after they've booked but before they've arrived, because that is a good opportunity to engage with them and to talk to them before they actually get on property. And value, as many of us know, is price plus experience. And so creating something special for your social followers, like Rachel was doing with some of the fashion bloggers, really cool idea, a simple thing that can be tracked and adds a lot of value to the thing. So I'm going to conduct one last poll, and I'd like everybody to help us understand what you thought of today's content. And the way you help us understand that is by selecting one of the answers. So will you attend future webinars based on what you heard today? So the choices are for sure, I don't know, or not likely. So would love for you guys to let us know how you feel about that. And it really helps us understand, are we delivering the content that the audience and the marketplace is looking for. So thank you. By and large, everyone was very happy with the content today. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate you weighing in on that. And just in the last few minutes, in the audience, if you want to achieve some or all of the goals that we discussed today, you can benefit from Visly, which is our new multi-channel digital marketing system. And it helps you engage travel shoppers by creating relevant content and powerful stories about your hotel, which increases the time shoppers are going to spend researching your hotel online, which in turn will increase the conversion and get you more bookings. And then once you have those stories built, we then make sure that they reach the millions of travel shoppers on a consistent basis by publishing them everywhere that shoppers are finding you online. So whether that's your own website, mobile sites, importantly social media sites, as we talked about today, and digital brochures on the hundreds of travel websites that consumers visit. And it really helps you communicate the value, as we just talked about, the value that you're providing, so that you just don't sell on price. And it is a really good opportunity to set yourself apart from the competition so that the shopper chooses your property with the certainty that it's the right choice for them. And so we invite you to join us next month's webinar, which is on the topic of search engine optimization and how to get started. And as I said earlier, we're going to be sending you a thank you for joining us email with a link to this recording so you can share and listen to again at your leisure. And I'm going to keep this contact information up for a couple of minutes. We have a couple of last-minute questions, and I'd like to ask. I'll start with Rachel. Rachel, this question is, you know, there's so many social sites out there. How did you choose which were the right ones for DREAM?
I think in terms of platforms, we're a hotel. So at the end of the day, the goal is to get heads in beds. So for us, it's about the real-time communication and dialogue. Therefore, Twitter is the perfect platform for us. Snapchat, similarly, is really evolving as another one of those real-time engagement platforms. Again, we're limited in what we can say to guests and prospective guests on that platform, but it's a really great opportunity and platform to be creative on it. Facebook, again, it really does serve as a hub for most of our content sharing. There's so much that we can do with it. We just got back from South by Southwest, as I mentioned. It's the quickest, it's the easiest way to get a Facebook album up there, what we accomplished, what we saw, what we did. So again, I think, you know, we have meetings all day, every day with new apps and new vendors, but I think that too many platforms and too many technologies and too many tools, you know, almost makes things harder. So keep it simple, but you know, figure out your brand, your company, your business's goals, and then work backwards.
Thanks, Rachel. Del, anything to add or?
No, I think that sums it up really well. The key here is when you're looking at new platforms, and there's always going to be a new platform, participating is a good idea. Yeah, it doesn't come naturally to us because we can't keep up, but there's no one who can tell you what the next Twitter or the next Facebook is going to be, and there will be one. There's going to be a time where Facebook is something for old people, and you know, young people are using something else, chips in their brain.
It seems like that's already the case.
Actually, that's kind of true, right? Instagram and Snapchat are really the tools of choice for communication for you know, tweens and teens. But we need to participate. We can't be head in the sand on this thing. That would be like sticking to a fax machine today and refusing to communicate by any other means but fax. You can't do it. So try things. The other thing is it's never wrong to try, and usually it's really cheap. So I advise people to be aware, to look for new things, to try them, and then, you know, if all else fails, talk to your youngest employees or your youngest guests, see what they like, what they're doing, and they'll tell you what to do.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Del, because, you know, you're in it for the long run, right? This is not a quick hit by any means, and I think that's sort of what we've been talking about today. So keep on top of it. You know, my Facebook comment, sort of tongue-in-cheek, right, because I said up front they have 1 billion active users on average, so that's an awful lot of people. So, you know, it's clearly a critical channel.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, Del Ross. We really appreciate your industry insights and your expertise. The audience loved what you had to say. Rachel Feit, thank you so much. It's always so important to hear from someone at the hotel level, at the property level, because it makes it real for everybody, and you shared some really great stuff about what you guys are obviously successfully doing. So thank you, Rachel Feit. Appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
And to everyone, Thursday, I think, is the new Friday. So have a good weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next time for our webinar on search engine optimization next month in April. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.